Okay, so I have this yearly tradition where I say I'm gonna read One Piece and then I just don't do it. And that's nothing against One Piece. I've actually, generally speaking, I wasn't as big in Skypiea, but for the most part, I've really liked what I've read. I just haven't been able to really power through it. And likewise, there's this semi yearly tradition where I say, this is the year that I'm gonna get into Gundam. In 2020, I watched G Gundam and it was great. I was like, I'm gonna get into Gundam. Let's watch Gundam Wing. Wow, I do not give a shit at all about Gundam Wing. I'm just gonna drop this and not watch it. And then, what was it? It was like 2022 or 23. It was 2023. I watched Witch for Mercury. I'm like, this is really good. I loved this. I'm gonna get into Gundam. Actually, hold on. It's close to the new year because I think it was around October, November or so when I finished Witch. I was like, okay, 2024 is gonna be the year of Gundam. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm gonna watch the Mobile Suit Gundam trilogy movies. I'm gonna then go into like the rest of UC and a bunch of other stuff. And at the end of 2020, I did Tia Ponyta. At the end of 2023, I watched 2 of the MSG movies, and at the start of 2024, I watched the 3rd MSG movie, and that was it. There was no more Gundam. So here we are in 2025, and I have decided to buck these trends. I have decided I am not gonna read One Piece in 2025, and I have decided this, for real, deadass this time, is gonna be the year I get into Gundam. And I made good on that by watching and loving Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. Before I go into the specifics about why this show fucking rules, spoiler warning. There's gonna be full spoilers for Zeta. I will give a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers are live for Zeta. So, for me, I can essentially sum up why I like Zeta in 3 reasons. But of course, me being me and loving lists, some of these reasons are going to have quite a few sub-reasons. So getting into the first, obviously, it's the mobile suits. Like, I really like seeing them. I like the design of the Zeta. I like the original Gundam more. I honestly like the Mark II more than I like the Zeta. We've got the Hyakushiki, which is my favorite mobile suit that I've seen so far from Char. I think it's just really fucking cool. We've got Minky Momo's Quebly. I almost said that with a straight face. Damn it, I almost got through that joke. Sorry. Jose showed me a video last night about just Minky Momo, and there's a point at the very end where fucking Hamon Card showed up, and I started laughing so hard because I wasn't expecting her. I was like, shit, I gotta just refer to her as Minky Momo in the video, and I almost got through it with a straight face. But genuinely, the Quebly I think is so fucking cool. I really, really like the design of this thing. I also shouted out, because I shouted out the Psycho Gundam, I really liked that one. I shouted out the Rick Diaz, like, as a mobile suit, I think it's fine. I just really like the name, because it sounds less like the name of a mobile suit, and just the name of a dude. I don't know, like, I'm a simple guy, like, it made me laugh, I thought it was neat. And that's reason number 1 I like Zeta. Reason number 2 I like Zeta is I enjoy the focus on the war. And I don't just mean that it's like, yeah, like there's violence, it's fun. Boy, a lot of the violence in the show is not fun. It gets really fucked. Although, despite it being a show about, fighting in mobile suits, there's just a lot of fighting. Like, there's just a lot of scenes of people getting punched in the face and getting slapped. And there's some of them where I'm like, this is not fun to watch. Like, what was his name? Wong? When he's correcting Camille. That was just kind of fucked. But just a lot of these scenes where people are arguing and then, like, Camille goes flying and punches Char in the face, or Emma will just slap Camille or Fa Yuri. It gets to a point where it gets kind of goofy after a while, but I kind of enjoyed it. But I just really enjoyed seeing a lot of the different ways that war is depicted. And it's something I really love about Log. And I feel like that's kind of a thing. There were points watching Zeta where I'm like, it's not to the same degree, but I kind of feel like I'm watching Log again, and that does a lot for me. So, I guess going into some of the sub-reasons and things about the war I found really interesting. Number one are all the fucking war crimes the Titans commit, because they do some really heinous shit. They attempt to drop a colony, the fucking blasting, I think it was Colony 2 is what it was. There's a giant fucking hole in it, and then you see people like getting sucked into the airlock. There's all the human experimentation with the cyber new types, which you really see with 4 and Rosamia. Gassing multiple colonies. Genuinely, one of my favorite moments in Zeta, it's really early, I want to say it's like episode 5 or 6, is when they go to that colony that was gassed and you see the aftermath. It is brutal. When they're attacking the civilians at the assembly, when Sarah's trying to, like, she puts a bomb on the docks, which is going to kill a fuck ton of civilians, and oh gosh, sorry, I was like, what the fuck was that? Oh, I remember that. When they go to Earth and they know the AUG is going to their base, so they evacuate their base, aside from like some choice prisoners, and flood the place with nukes. Literally nukes, not just bombs, not just really strong bombs. They literally with nuclear weapons to blow the AUG sky high. That is a war crime of war. Like, to be fair, a lot of these are war crimes of war crimes. I'm not saying, like, man, I enjoy the depravity because I'm a sadist. I find it interesting, though, just in their quest for power, how far they will go. And kind of an interesting twist, you know, despite them being of Earth and are so proud that they are from Earth. Like, we are, as the Titans, we are supreme and shit. How willing they are to discard their humanity to get an advantage, I find really interesting. On top of that, another element that I enjoyed about the war is we see the consequences of being a hotshot pilot. Like, we see it very early on in the show with Camille as someone who gets corrected a lot. And as the show goes on, you definitely see, I feel like it's less that, yeah, the corrections, these beatings have really affected him. And it's almost more just like, no, he's getting used to war. And he's starting to understand, like, look, I have a job to do. And if I don't do my job, people I care about are going to die. Yes, there's things I don't like. I don't love fighting. I do not like killing people. But I understand my role. And then you have Kotz, who never really gets the memo or understands his role, and it ultimately gets him killed. It ultimately gets Sarah killed first, and then it gets him killed. And then you have Fa Yuri, who also is, she's never to the degree of Kotz, but is also never truly matures as a pilot the way that Camille does, which, it's weird because it gets her stripped of her wings, but also, like, we don't really have enough pilots, so you can still go out every now and then. But they depend on her a lot less. And I remember there was this scene I really liked when, it's pretty late in the show, I don't remember exactly where it is, where she's really desperate in one of these battles, and I think she talks to Camille after, like, this was my dream to be a pilot. And this was, for all intents and purposes, my last chance. And I failed. And you really feel the desperation in there, and I did really enjoy that. It's the humanity, like, we're gonna get to that later, but the humanity of the characters and their dynamics and relationships with each other is probably my number one favorite aspect of Zeta. That's reason number 3. We're still on reason number 2. And another thing of the war that I really liked is I really enjoyed some of the political maneuvering. I might be getting the names wrong here, but I think it was like Yance or Yance. He's one of the Titan generals. I don't remember who he's fighting. I remember if he was fighting Char or like Emma, but he like hides in front of one of, I can't even say hides, but he goes in front of one of his ally ships. I want to say the guy's name is like Yamakon, but it's spelled like Jamaican, which just kind of made me laugh seeing it on the screen. Like, all right, Admiral Jamaican, let's go. But he's like right in front of that dude's ship. He's like, you guys can't hit me. So they fire a giant cannon. Yance dodges and gets his ally blown up because he's like, yeah, I want this guy gone because it gives me more power. I love shit like that. You've got Minky Momo and all of her like constant backstabbing and wheeling and dealing. That was an element that I really, really enjoyed. Like, once you get to the later part of the show and the Zabi family, what's left of them, where they become an actual force, and the constant wheeling and dealing between her, the Titans, and the... Oh, sorry, Princess is trying to come inside. Let me go ahead and just get Princess real quick. Princess, do you have anything you want to say about Mobile Suit Gundam Zeta? Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam? I said it backwards. Nope. Alright, see you, Princess. Anyways, the political maneuvering I really enjoy. You get the scene at the assembly where Char is giving his speech. I like that a lot. This isn't a political maneuvering thing, but I feel like when talking about Char giving speeches, there's a good amount of times where people talk about how your soul is weighed down by Earth's gravity. And I think the first time in this show, it's either like Amuro says it to Char, Char says it to Amuro. I think it's between those two. I'm like, all right, that's kind of neat. And then in like the last few episodes, I heard it like 4 times. It was a bit much, but I don't know. It's kind of neat, I guess. Oh yeah, and then you have Shirako killing Bask and Jamatov to, again, kind of like what Yance did to Jamaica, I'm gonna get rid of my superiors because then I get more authority and I get more power, because that is very much what the Titans are all about. And the last thing I want to talk about, when it just comes to the war, this sounds really fucked up, but I'll own it. I really like the death toll. And it's not just like, oh yeah, I enjoyed seeing characters die. A lot of the scenes actually hit kind of hard. And some of it is just seeing the reactions. Again, talking about Log, without going super deep into spoilers for Log, there is a character death pretty late in the show. I think it's season 3 is when it happens, which broke my heart. He's like, this was my favorite character in the show, by far, bar none. And his death didn't make me cry. It's the episode after, which is just seeing all of the crewmates mourning him in their different ways. That is what got me. And I don't feel like Zeta hit me quite the way that Log did when it came to that aspect. But some of these did hit me hard, or at least I found them really interesting. And what I really like is we see it on both sides. And I don't just mean, yeah, we see AU members die, we see Titans die. We see how the deaths of their comrades affect them. Like Shirako. Shirako's a piece of shit. But even he seemed genuinely upset that Sarah was gone. And at least the way it read to me was less of, I lost a very valuable tool and I'm upset. And like, no, he actually seemed upset that Sarah herself was dead. You have Jared's reactions to when Lila dies, when Capricorn dies, when, I don't know how to pronounce her name, when like Mauer, I can't really pronounce her name. We've got, this isn't a character death, but it's portrayed as one, and it's when Rekoa betrays the Ayug. Because everyone thinks she died, and you see how much that meant to them, like how much they're mourning her. And there's that scene where Camille is talking to Char, and I think he punches him because, again, it's Zeta. He's like, if you were like a better man to her, she wouldn't have left, or like she wouldn't have gone out there to like prove herself and wouldn't have died. And in the room, you just see like her cactus and Char is taking care of it. Is like, he's, even in his own way, he is still grieving. And I really liked that. We've got, the Argama's reactions to the deaths of some of the other pilots, like Roberto, to Opoli, to Kotz. We've got Camille when he loses his parents, and Four, and, oh god, the scene with Rosamia. Like, I never cried during Zeta, That might have been the closest. No, actually, I know the closest I got to tears. I might have actually cried when that happened. Rosamia hurt, and it's just because of her, like, big brother, I finally found you. Gone. That was brutal. Losing Henkin, that one hurt me. That's my boy. I didn't want to see him go like that. Losing Emma, that is the thing that almost made me cry, and it might actually have, and I think it did. I think when I got to that bit, I was like, I'm getting really teary-eyed, like, oh no, because she was one of my favorite. I think she is my favorite character from Zeta. If not her, like, it might be Camille. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, Char is Char, but he's also from MSG. Like, it almost doesn't count in his own way. Anyway, sorry, point. I really liked Emma. And for a good there was this one episode where Kotz does some dumb shit, which I know does not narrow it down at all, but Kotz does some dumb shit, and then Emma's got to go out to save him, and I remember watching it and thinking, if this little shit and the stunt he pulled got my homegirl killed, I'm going to be pissed, and it didn't. But her death hurt. And then that scene after, like, as she's dying with just her and Camille, that hurt. And then you have the ending with what happens to Camille and just Fa Yuri's reaction once she realizes. And that's the note the show ends on. It's so brutal. It is so good. Because that's what happens in war. You're going to lose people you care about. You're going to lose people that you have fought with and, like, battled with and just had, like, goofy ass moments with. You're going to lose your brothers and sisters. And that's rough. And getting into the third and final thing that I really love about Zeta, as I was saying, it is the character dynamics, and not just relationships, but the ways that characters, like, represent each other as foils and such. Excuse me. I think one of my favorite examples of that is the rivalry between Camille and Jared. I love that it's not one-sided. It's like, yeah, it starts off as just a short little thing. Jared's like, Camille, isn't that a girl's name? And Camille gets really angry and, like, starts punching him and fighting him and shit. You're like, okay, they got beef, but whatever. Then Jared kills Camille's mom. And it becomes really personal. Then Camille kills Lila. It becomes really personal. And then you add in Capricorn and Four and all these other moments. And I just love how it keeps... Their rivalry and their hatred never stays stagnant. They keep one-upping each other, and just the fact that Jared's final moment is him just saying, like, if it weren't for you, Camille, and then he gets cut off, like, as Camille kills him, but you do really feel that, like, if it wasn't for you, I would have the people in my life that I lost. The first woman that I loved, the second woman that I loved, my best friend, you took them from me. I hate you. And I really liked that dynamic. And then you have Kotz. And the reason I want to bring him up after these two is kind of like I was saying earlier. You've got the consequences of being a hotshot pilot. Kotz, to me, is very important to why Zeta works. Not because I like the kid. I fucking hate this little shit. But to me, Kotz is... This is Camille if he never got his shit together. And... Sorry, let me get a drink of water real quick. Oh, anyway. Like I said, if he didn't get his shit together, if he didn't settle into his role or learn to take accountability for his actions. Because if there's one thing I noticed about Camille, as much as he'll say, like, hey, I hate killing, and will gun people down, from what I remember, he doesn't he doesn't really shirk the responsibility for when he kills people. Like, no, like, I did that. I have to live with it. And then I look at Kotz. He tries to kill Shirako, and Sarah jumps in the way and takes the hit and gets killed. And Kotz was not supposed to be there at all. Kotz does not take accountability for Sarah's death. He still blames Shirako. I'm just going to do this the entire video. He still blames Minky Momo. He never takes accountability. And ultimately, it is his, like, being very cocky and not growing up attitude that causes him to overextend and get killed. And I like that. Like, I was watching a video the other day, and it was about screenwriting. I'll probably try to, like, link it in the description to give it a shout out. But it was about screenwriting, specifically in the film Juno, which I haven't watched in years. I remember really liking it. And part of the sentiment of the video was, for good storytelling, it should be surprising, because if it's not surprising, it's boring. But it should also feel inevitable, because if it's not inevitable, it feels cheap. I feel like seeing the kid die feels surprising, because it's Gundam, you know, you're gonna have a death toll. It's also Gundam. Like, this is supposed to, I don't want to say it's a kid's show, but kids are supposed to watch this and want to buy the model kits, right? Are you really gonna kill off the kid character? Oh shit, they did. Like, I am a little surprised. But given the way he's written, it's inevitable that something like this would happen to Kotz. And I really like that. Another character dynamic, which this one obviously doesn't get as much attention in Zeta as it did at MSG, is Char and Amuro. And I do find it interesting how both of them, to quote my beloved Digimon tamers, are running away from destiny, but doing it in different ways. You have Amuro, who's essentially under house arrest for a good chunk of the start of Zeta, does not want to get involved in a war, does not want to get back in the fucking robot, but he also kind of does. And then you have Char, who's going under another new identity as my boy, Lieutenant Quattro. I'm sorry, I fucking love that name. Like, what the fuck? Lieutenant 4 at your service, man. But, both of them are hiding and running away from who they are, which genuinely leads to this one really funny scene when they're on Earth for the first time, and I think it's Kai sees Char and immediately knows who the fuck he is, writes a letter, I don't remember the name of the Kotz's father, but sends him a message like, hey, this is Char, handle it however you want to handle it, I don't want to be around that fucker. And the dude, like, talks to Char about it. He's like, are you Char Aznable? And his response is like, well, no. But if I were Char, this is what I would say. It's really funny. There's also this scene, I laughed so hard at this, where he's talking to Minky Momo, and he says to her, I have never once betrayed somebody in my entire life. And he says it dead ass and puts his chest into him, like, the fact that you can say that and somehow believe it is so much funnier than if you... It was gold. I laughed so hard at his audacity to try to make that claim. But anyways, getting back on track to some of the character, dynamics and such that I liked. Emma and Rekoa is one I really, really like, and it might be my favorite dynamic in the story. Both of them are defectors. One did so because of her conscience, because the more Emma started to realize, like, learn about the Titans and the shit they would pull, like, I don't want any part of this. Rekoa did so because of her heart, because she felt like she was not loved in the AUG, particularly by the man she wanted, that being Char, but felt like she had some kind of mystic connection with Shirako. Like, I don't care that everyone else on that ship is really cool to me and they care about me. He doesn't want me, and this guy maybe does, so I'm just going to turn on everything. And I find that really interesting. It's like one did it for her mind, one did it for her heart. And one of them is like my favorite character in the show and I think is really sympathetic. And the other just isn't to me. It's like, I get it, you know, you want to listen to your heart, you want to do what feels right. But it just feels so scummy. And then I also, just as another connection, the opposite reactions I, as the viewer, had to their deaths. Losing Emma made me cry, like it broke my heart. And losing Rekkawa made what Emma said prophetic. No one is going to miss you when you're gone. What you have done, the way you have betrayed us, is so vile and stupid. Kotz died a little bit ago, and every member of our crew felt it. I didn't, I'll be honest. But every member of our... Sorry, I just scared the dog. My bad, Jury. But like every member of the Argama felt that. And no one is going to even know that you're gone. Brutal. And 100% accurate. And I think another thing about their connection that I find really interesting too is Emma left for her conscience, like again, for her mind, never truly found love because Henkin never got to make his move, which again is what makes it so brutal. The fact that he dies saving her and she dies anyways, and but she was able to find someone to love her. And Rekkawa left people who, and maybe not romantically, but Rekkawa left people who already loved her for someone who never did. And I find that really interesting. And then kind of like how I wanted to talk about Camille and Jared and then go into Kotz, I feel like after Emma and Rekkawa, I have to talk about Sarah, where those are the two that defected, and Sarah never did, despite having every opportunity to do so. Despite all the times that she's captured, despite all the times that Camille will show her clemency, despite all the times that Kotz is trying to like get her to join their side. When she's introduced, she's talking about how it's like, yeah, I hate violence, very similar to Camille. But later she's like, yeah, I'll blow up the civilians. I don't want to do it, but I will go through with it. How Rekko is like, I will leave for love, and how there's kind of ish something there with Sarah and Kotz, but it's not enough because her real love is Shirako, and she never once left her side. I mean, like, literally there's points where she's died. But in terms of her allegiance, I do find that interesting. And it's, I think the biggest difference between her, Emma, and Rekkawa is not only like her loyalty to Shirako kept her from switching sides, her loyalty is what got her killed. Because again, she took the bullet meant for him. Bullet, I mean, it's from Mobile Suit, it's a big fucking bullet. But she took the hit for him. And while ultimately, yes, like Emma and Rekkawa kill each other, so it's their betrayals is kind of what led to their deaths. For Sarah, it's her loyalty. And the last character relationship I want to talk about is Four and Rosamia, who never as far as I'm aware, I don't believe they ever did. Yeah, because I think Four was already dead by the time Rosamia was introduced. How both of them are cyber new types. Both of them have had their memories fucked with, but in different ways. With Four, I believe it's the memories have been removed, and then with Rosamia, it's they've been tampered with. I mean, I guess removing is still tampering with. I think you know what I mean. It's like one had memories removed, one had false memories implanted. There we go. You have the relationship with Camille, where with Four, it's a romantic love. With Rosamia, it's a familial love because she thinks that that's her brother. but there's still that love for Camille, and they're drawn to him. And the way that they die, 4 dies saving Camille. Rosamia is killed by him. I think the way I wrote it here in my notes, like 4 is killed for him. No pun intended. But she's killed for him. Rosamia is by him. And yeah, just that big brother, I found you. Wow. That hit me hard. It's like, that's brutal, man. Holy shit. So, with all that being said, I kind of just want to go over some standout moments, like just some bits from Zeta. I'm like, these are some of my favorites. I know I've talked about some of them already. Like I said, when, I don't remember who's all in the party. I think it's Camille, Emma. Falyuri isn't on the argument at that point. It might have just been those two that might have been. I think it was probably Char when they're on that gassed colony with Lila. Like I said, Char saying, I've never betrayed anyone in my entire life, or if I were Char Aznable, this is what I would say, but I'm totally not Char Aznable. I'm Lieutenant Quattro Vegeta. Just the insane amount of punching and bright slaps that are throughout this show. Again, not all of them, like the Mr. Wong to Camille one in particular. I'm like, this one's not fun, but there's a point where they just start getting kind of goofy. There's this one bit where Emma gets a note saying that someone's going to propose to her soon, and she's like really embarrassed, and it's genuinely adorable. And just anytime you get a focus on Henkin's crush on her, again, it's just fucking precious. Emma's death, Rosamia's death, 4's death, Emma telling Rekoa no one is going to miss you, and it being 100% accurate. And the ending. I was telling Clay when I finished, the last 3 episodes of Zeta are just gut punch after gut punch after gut punch, and it ends with one final punch to the dick. It is brutal. But I really enjoyed it. I haven't started Double Zeta yet. I intend to soon once the service that I'm using starts working again. It's been off for like a week or so, which sucks. But it is what it is. I'm hoping to do that soon. I am so glad I watched Zeta. 2025. Hopefully, for once, this will actually be the year I get into Gundam.